People have been asking a lot of questions about how I got started. So I figured I'd do a little story time on it. So let's just start off with I had no experience in pain clinics. I didn't know anything about them. I knew very, very little about them. You gotta remember, I didn't do drugs. I smoked pot twice my whole life. I rarely drink. So I'm laying on the couch. I just have my daughter. She's like 6 months old. She's sleeping on my chest. My phone rings. I look at it. It's my buddy Zach, lifelong friend. He's like, "Hey, you home?" I'm like, "Yeah." And as I'm saying, he's walking in my door. And he starts off like, "Hey, man, I need to borrow some money." I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, how much?" And he's like, "Oh, I need to start off with 50K, but I need more." I'm like, "Whoa, hold on. What do you mean you need 50K? And he's like, "Dude, I met this guy named Vinny. I was at the strip club and partying up, and this dude was blowing money like it was crazy. So I started spending more money to be like, nah, he ain't outdoing me. And come to find out, this dude's filthy rich. He calls me over and we get to chit chatting, and he tells me he owns a pain clinic. And he says, well, I got to know him, and he says now he wants me to come partners because he needs some people like me to trust. So he's like, but I don't have the money. I said, well, why don't you go to your dad? He says, I did, but my dad doesn't believe in it, and he told me to fuck off. His dad's a multimillionaire, owns a big construction company. I said, well, what about everybody else? He's like, nobody will loan me the money. Now remember, if you know Zach, this motherfucker is an idiot. He's smart as can be, but he's fucking crazy. So a lot of people just didn't believe in him, but he has a drive like you've never seen before. I mean, the dude has got it. He's a go-getter. I was like, nah, I don't know nothing about that stuff. I'm not risking it. Because it's 2008 when the economy crashed. So I was just like, nah, I got money put away, but it's my safe money. So he just kept on and on, month after month after month after month. So after the third month, he told me, come on, let's go eat some lunch one day. So I hop in the vehicle. I'm like, where are we going? He's like, oh, we got to stop somewhere. So we go down south. We stop by this accountant. He had to do something, sign some paperwork. He's like, tell this dude that this stuff is legit and that we can file taxes. Accountant's like, everything's good. I said, man, we going to eat yet? And he's like, nah. He's like, I got one more thing. So we stopped at this lawyer. He's like, tell this pussy that all this stuff is legit and everything is good. And he's like, no, everything's legit. Everything's, you can sign up. Everything's within the law. So then we went from there. We went to the clinic. He takes me to the clinic. So he walks me through, introduces me to all the doctors, Vinny, everybody, tells me everything is good. I'm watching Operation play, everything else. And, I started thinking, stay tuned to part 2, and I'll let you know how it went, how much money I gave him, and how long it took me to change my mind.